Amira sits alone in the oppressive silence of her dimly lit bedroom, her face illuminated only by the cold, ghostly blue glow of her smartphone screen. She is scrolling apathetically through a social media feed until her thumb stops abruptly, hovering. On the screen is a vibrantly colored, joyous photo of her close friend Nour, laughing radiantly while showing off a beautiful, sparkling diamond engagement ring. Amira's initial reflexive smile of congratulation immediately sours and curdles into a mask of bitter, dark resentment. As she stares intently at the image, a sickly, toxic, lime-green glow begins to ignite within her pupils, reflecting eerily onto the phone screen, which suddenly develops a spiderweb-like crack right over Nour's happy face. The scene opens on Amira in her modest apartment, the atmosphere heavy, muted, and suffocating. The color palette is desaturated, dominated by cool grays, dull blues, and faded browns, reflecting her internal state of stagnation and hopelessness. She sits slumped at a cluttered wooden kitchen table, staring blankly at an open laptop displaying a generic, impersonal, job application rejected email notification. A pile of unpaid bills sits menacingly next to it. She sighs heavily, a sound of deep weariness, and rubs her temples in frustration. She feels completely stuck in life, as if she is trapped in quicksand, watching time pass her by while everyone else moves forward. She looks around her small, somewhat dilapidated apartment, noticing peeling paint on the walls and worn-out furniture. Every detail seems to reinforce her overpowering feeling of inadequacy and failure. She picks up her phone, seeking some form of distraction, but it only serves as a constant, painful reminder of what she lacks and others seem to have so easily. The world outside her rain-streaked window looks gray and uninviting. She feels invisible, unappreciated, and left behind by the rapid, unrelenting pace of life. A subtle, underlying hum of deep dissatisfaction vibrates through the entire scene. She feels a physical tightening in her chest, a growing, bitter resentment toward a world that seems to reward everyone but her. Her beautiful sapphire blue hijab looks dull and lifeless in this light, mirroring her dampened spirit. The scene shifts sharply to a brightly lit, upscale, trendy cafe, bursting with the warm, vibrant, and rich colors of the vibrant drama palette, deep golds, lush burgundies, and inviting creams. Amira is sitting across a small marble table from her friend Nour, character reference, similar age, radiant, happy, well-dressed. Nour is literally beaming with excitement, her face glowing, holding up her perfectly manicured hand to show off the dazzling, sparkling diamond engagement ring seen in the hook. She is gushing animatedly about her wonderful, successful fiancé, their exciting future plans, and her recent significant promotion at work. Everything about Nour radiates success, happiness, momentum, and divine favor. Amira has a plastered, strained, forced smile on her face, offering all the right, expected polite words. Mashallah, I'm so happy for you, Nour. You truly deserve it all. But the camera focuses tightly on Amira's eyes. Behind the polite facade, that same toxic, sickly green light is beginning to flicker and simmer dangerously. The warmth of the cafe seems to physically recoil from Amira, creating a subtle, cold, isolating aura around her. Every word of Nour's happiness feels like a personal slight, a direct attack on Amira's worth, a painful reminder of everything Amira doesn't have. The green glow intensifies internally, an unseen poison beginning to brew and spread through her veins. That night, back in the oppressive darkness of her own bedroom, the only light source is the harsh glow of Amira's phone and the increasingly intense, sickly green glow emanating from her own eyes. She is lying in bed, unable to sleep, obsessively deep diving through Nour's entire social media history. Her thumb scrolls feverishly, going back years into the past. She analyzes every photo, every caption, every comment, looking for flaws, cracks in the perfection, or anything to criticize and diminish Nour's happiness in her own mind. She zooms in on photos of Nour's luxurious vacations, her professional achievements, her happy moments with friends and family, not with admiration, but with a burning, bitter, consuming scrutiny. The toxic green light from her eyes casts uncanny, eerie, unnatural shadows on her face, making her beautiful features look distorted and almost menacing in the dark. The room around her feels colder and darker, the shadows deepening in response to her internal state of malice. She mutters critical, nasty comments under her breath, trying desperately to convince herself that Nour's life isn't as perfect as it seems, that she doesn't really deserve this happiness, that it's all a facade. This digital stalking is actively feeding the green-eyed monster within her, making it grow larger, stronger, and more consuming with every scrolled pixel. The next day, Amira is having coffee with another mutual friend at a casual cafe. The setting is neutral, but Amira's presence brings a palpable chill to the air. The conversation inevitably turns to the topic of Nour's recent good news. Amira leans in closer across the table, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial, slightly bitter and hushed tone. She begins to subtly but actively undermine Nour's success and character. "Yeah, it's great and all for her," she says with a dismissive wave of her hand and a roll of her eyes. "But honestly, between you and me, she just got really lucky. It's not like she is that talented or worked that hard for it. And I heard some rumors that her fiancé is actually quite difficult and controlling." As she speaks these poisonous words of Hasad and malice, faint, wispy, oily tendrils of toxic green smoke begin to curl from her lips with each sentence. It's subtle, but unmistakable to the viewer. The smoke doesn't rise. It sinks, heavy, cloying, and sickly, settling around the table like a poisonous fog. Her friend looks slightly uncomfortable and shifts in her seat, but doesn't stop her. Amira feels a temporary, sickly, twisted satisfaction in tearing Nour down behind her back, a fleeting sense of superiority that quickly fades, leaving her feeling emptier, dirtier, and more bitter than before. The toxic green smoke lingers in the air, polluting the atmosphere around her. Amira is back in her own apartment the following day, trying to go about her daily routine. She attempts to look around at the things she does possess in her life: a secure roof over her head, plenty of food in her fridge, her good physical health, her loving family who calls her regularly to check in. But through the thick, distorting lens of her intense, consuming envy, everything in her own life looks distorted, cheap, inadequate, and worthless. The toxic green filter that now permanently overlays her vision turns her cozy apartment into a dingy, depressing cage. Her food looks unappealing and tasteless. The supportive, loving text message from her mother feels irritating and burdensome rather than comforting. She cannot see the value or beauty in anything she has because she is so hyper-focused on what someone else has. It's a profound form of spiritual blindness and ingratitude, kufr an-nama. The vibrant sapphire blue color of her own hijab looks muddy, dull, and faded to her eyes now. She feels a constant, gnawing emptiness in her soul, a deep hunger that cannot be satisfied by anything in her own life, no matter how good it objectively is. The blessings of Allah are right in front of her face, but she is spiritually blind to them, her vision completely obscured by the thick, suffocating green fog of jealousy. Weeks pass, and Amira's growing bitterness makes her increasingly unpleasant and toxic to be around. Friends stop calling as often. Invitations to social gatherings dry up completely. She finds herself increasingly isolated and alone, sitting by herself in her living room on a Friday night when she used to be out with friends. The room is almost completely dark, save for the overwhelming, pulsating, toxic green glow that now seems to radiate from her entire being. The green-eyed monster is no longer just a flicker in her eyes. It has become a manifest physical presence in the room with her, a swirling, oppressive, palpable cloud of sickly green light and thick smoke that wraps around her body like a suffocating, heavy blanket. She feels physically heavy, burdened, drained of energy, and deeply unhappy. The envy is consuming her alive from the inside out, eating away at her peace of mind, her joy, her sleep, and her relationships. She is the prisoner of her own resentment, trapped in a solitary confinement built brick by comparison and bitterness. The air in the room feels thick, toxic, and hard to breathe. Amira is attending Nour's grand engagement party, having felt obligated to go. The room is spectacularly decorated, filled with warmth, laughter, beautiful people, music, and the rich, vibrant colors of celebration. Nour looks absolutely stunning, radiant and incredibly happy, the undisputed center of attention and love. Amira stands near the edge of the room, holding a glass of water tightly, physically present but emotionally in agonizing pain. To her distorted perception, the joyous atmosphere feels like a physical assault on her senses. Every laugh, every compliment paid to Nour, every happy toast feels like a literal dagger twisting in Amira's chest. The toxic green smoke inside her chest expands violently, pressing hard against her ribs and lungs, making it physically difficult for her to breathe. She feels like she is actively suffocating in the middle of a celebration. She clutches her chest subtly, her face pale, a sheen of cold sweat on her forehead. The contrast between the genuine warmth and joy of the party and the cold, burning hell inside Amira is unbearable. She feels an overwhelming urge to scream or flee the room, unable to contain the poisonous pressure building within her. Unable to bear the suffocating atmosphere any longer, Amira rushes to the bathroom to escape and catch her breath. She locks the door behind her and leans heavily against the sink, gasping for air, her heart pounding. She slowly lifts her head to look into the brightly lit bathroom mirror. What she sees horrifies her to her core. It is not just her sad, tired face reflecting back. It is a grotesque manifestation of her inner spiritual state. Her beautiful features are contorted and twisted into a mask of bitterness and hate. Her eyes are glowing with an intense, frightening, almost demonic, toxic green light that seems to pulse. Her skin looks sallow and sickly under the harsh fluorescent light. The beautiful sapphire hijab she wears seems blackened and tainted by the aura around her. She sees the monster she has nurtured and become. It is an ugly, terrifying sight. The realization hits her with devastating force. This envy isn't hurting Nour at all. Nour is happy and oblivious. It is utterly destroying her. She is poisoning her own soul. She stares at her reflection in utter disgust, terror, and profound realization. That night, Amira is back in the safety of her own room, still in her party clothes, crumpled on her prayer mat in the dark. The toxic green glow is still pulsating around her, but it feels heavy, burdensome, and unbearable now, not empowering in any way. She is crying uncontrollable, hot tears of shame, frustration, and deep spiritual pain. She realizes with absolute clarity that she cannot continue to live like this. The envy is a heavy, suffocating chain around her neck, choking the life out of her faith and her happiness. She raises her shaking hands in desperate supplication to Allah. "Ya Allah," she sobs into the darkness, her voice raw, "save me from myself. Save me from this fire burning inside me. My heart is black. I am burning alive with this jealousy. Please, Lord, purify me. I don't want to be this person anymore. Help me." It is a raw, honest cry from rock bottom, fully admitting her spiritual sickness and begging for a cure. The green smoke swirls violently around her, resisting her plea, but the crack in her armor has finally been made. The next morning, Amira, her eyes swollen from crying, opens a book of hadith she hasn't touched in months, desperately seeking answers and guidance. Her eyes fall almost immediately on a famous saying of the Prophet Muhammad that she had forgotten. "Beware of envy, for verily it destroys good deeds the way fire destroys wood." The words hit her with the force of a physical blow to the chest. In her mind's eye, she vividly visualizes all her prayers, her charity, her fasting, her kindness to her parents, all the good she has tried to do in her life, being piled up and consumed in a violent, crackling bonfire fueled solely by her own jealousy. The image is terrifying and sobering. She realizes that her envy is not just a small personality flaw. It is a deadly spiritual cancer that is rendering her entire religious life bankrupt and worthless. The fear of Allah and the realization of the immense spiritual loss she is incurring pierce through the fog of bitterness. The toxic green glow around her seems to recoil slightly at the truth of the divine words. Amira is sitting on her prayer mat after performing the Fajr, dawn prayer. The room is dimly lit with the first soft hint of morning light. She knows exactly what she must do to break the curse of envy, and it feels like the hardest thing in the world. She closes her eyes tightly, takes a deep, trembling breath, and forces herself to make dua specifically and sincerely for Nour. Her voice shakes, and her throat feels painfully tight as she begins. "O Allah," she whispers, fighting every instinct in her body, "please bless Nour, increase her in happiness, bless her marriage and make it a source of peace. Grant her success in this life and the next. Protect her from all harm. including the harm of my own envy. It feels like swallowing broken glass at first, but as she continues to pray sincerely for her friend's good, a miraculous thing happens. The thick, suffocating toxic green smoke around her begins to sizzle and burn away, as if touched by an invisible holy fire. The heaviness in her chest starts to lift sensibly. Immediately after praying for Nour, Amira remains sitting on her mat, exhausted but feeling significantly lighter. She opens her eyes and looks around her small apartment again. She consciously forces herself to practice gratitude, shukr, verbally. Alhamdulillah for my health, she whispers, her voice stronger now. Alhamdulillah for this safe roof over my head. Alhamdulillah for my mother's love and my family. As she verbally acknowledges each blessing, no matter how small it seems, the atmosphere in the room shifts dramatically. The remaining lingering haze of toxic green smoke is completely banished and dissolves. In its place, a soft, warm, beautiful, golden, divine light begins to filter into the room, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air. It warms her skin and fills her heart with peace. Her sapphire blue hijab looks vibrant, beautiful, and rich again in this pure light. Her heart feels expansive, clean, and incredibly peaceful for the first time in months. The green-eyed monster has been starved and defeated by the twin powers of gratitude and sincere prayer for others. A few weeks later, Amira is meeting Nour for coffee again, but this time, everything is different. The scene is back in a beautiful, sunlit, upscale cafe, bursting with the warm, rich, and welcoming colors of the vibrant drama palette, deep golds, lush burgundies, and inviting creams. Nour is excitedly showing Amira photos from her recent honeymoon planning on her phone, scrolling through images of beautiful destinations and happy moments. This time, Amira's response is not a forced performance. Her smile is completely genuine, warm, and reaches her eyes, crinkling the corners in true delight. She leans in, genuinely interested, asking questions and laughing along with Nour's stories. Her eyes are bright, clear, and warm, reflecting only love, happiness, and sincere well-wishing for her friend. There is absolutely no trace of the toxic green glow or the cold aura that once surrounded her. The air between them feels light, clear, and free of tension. Amira feels a profound, liberating sense of freedom in her chest. She realizes with deep gratitude that she can finally, truly celebrate her friend's happiness without feeling diminished, threatened, or lacking herself. She has understood deeply that Nour's blessing is from Allah's infinite bounty, and it does not take anything away from her own destined sustenance, risk, or future happiness. The world around her looks vibrant, beautiful, and full of infinite possibility again, not just for others, but for herself as well. Her heart is clean, content, and completely at peace with Allah's decree, resting in the certainty of His wisdom and timing. The friendship, once poisoned by envy, is now restored and stronger, grounded in mutual love and spiritual maturity. Amira looks directly into the camera, her face calm, radiant, and filled with hard-won wisdom from her journey. The background is a soft, warm blend of deep blues and golds. We often think envy is about wanting what someone else has, she says gently. But really, it's a much deeper issue. It's about questioning Allah's wisdom and fairness in what He chose to give them. She pauses, letting the gravity of that statement sink in. Blowing out someone else's candle won't make yours shine any brighter. Envy is like drinking poison and hoping the other person will die. It only kills your own peace and burns up your own good deeds. Her expression softens further with compassion. If you feel that green-eyed monster stirring inside you, fight it with the only weapon that truly works: sincere prayer for that person's good and deep, active gratitude for your own blessings. Trust your Maker's plan for you. Your portion is written, and it will never miss you. Free your heart.